Okay, so here we have a word problem that deals with using exponents. There's a part A and a part B, and the question is, the population of an ant colony doubles every month. There are currently 1,000 ants in the colony. The population can be represented by the equation P is equal to 1,000 times 2 to the power of n, where P is the total number of ants and n is the number of months. And part A says, how many ants will there be in 6 months? So we have 1,000 ants in our colony. Every month they're going to double. How many are we going to have in 6 months? The first thing I would recommend is make sure you write the formula right away. So P is equal to 1,000 times 2 to the power n. Notice I'm not plugging anything in, that's just my general formula right away. Off on the side, it's always nice to have a list of our variables, what we know, what we don't know. In this case, I don't know what the population is going to be. They're asking how many ants will there be. N is the number of months. In this case, population is going to grow for 6 months. So I put a 6. And now I'm just going to plug in that 6. So P is equal to 1,000 times 2, not to the power n, but now it's to the power of 6. And we can do these calculations. For simplifying, we might want to do the power first and show that step. So 2 to the power of 6 is 64. So I'll have 1,000 times 64. And 1,000 times 64 is 64,000 ants. So in 6 months, we will have 64,000 ants. All right, so part B, similar but a little bit different. It says, how many ants were there 3 months ago? So not how many ants will there be in 3 months, but how many were 3 months ago? So right away, I'm not even thinking about it too much. I'm just going to write down my equation. Again, not plugging anything in. And just to point out, the 1,000 represents the initial population. The 2 represents doubling, and n is how many times it is doubling. So I'm going to have my little list off to the side. Do we know what the population is going to be? No, we don't know. N is the number of months, and this is where things get a little bit tricky. What would be the number of months if it was 3 months ago? In this case, it's 3, but it's actually a -3. Because +3 would be 3 months into the future. Right? If we're looking back on, if your population of ants is doubling every month, well, 3 months ago, there's probably going to be a lot less ants. So hopefully when we solve this, our population will be less than 1,000. Going to rewrite this with my n value plugged in. So 2 to the power of -3. And we're going to calculate this. We'll do the power first. We'll do 2 to the power of -3. And that is going to be 0.125. And now I'm just going to multiply that by 1,000. And I get 125 ants. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it makes sense because If it happened 3 months ago, that means to get to 1,000, it has to double 3 times. So 125 doubled will give me 250. 250 doubled again will give me 500. 500 doubled again will give me 1,000. So I know that makes sense. So just a little example, just as a refresher, how to use powers and exponents in word problems.